left. Right one. Yes, this is the right gear, the right outdrive. And you take your 9x5. Oh, wrong one. 9x5. Pop that into there, little slot. Pops right in. Then you take one of your B2 rings. I'm reusing these since I had a bit of a mishap, which was unrelated to anything that was in this build. It was parts wearing out over 2 years. Okay, next you take your diff gear. I like to coat the one side of this with a little bit of the team associated ball diff lube. You really do need to, I find that you really need to get this special type of lubricant because it is designed for ball diffs and works especially well with them, and it has properties where it allows the gears to spin the balls to spin freely without actually losing their friction with the plates. So I applied a thin little coat onto the one side of that. I'm going to put the side I coated down, and then I'm going to start to pick up the balls and pop them into their little respective slots. One. I find that with the grease it helps the balls stick better, so when you're building it, it goes together a lot easier. There we go. See? I already got 5 in. 6. Halfway done. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Okay, well, there we go. Okay, next part of the build, should have done this before, is the little 5x8mm bearing that snaps right into the middle of the diff. This is different than the stock one provided with the ST. That's a 5x9, and it's a little tight for the B2 gear, but should press in with little issue. Yeah, having a lot of issues pressing in the gears. Bearings tonight. Come on. There we go. Okay, flip this back over onto the other side because I don't have a very key part, which is the other diff ring on here. This goes onto this outdrive right there, and you want to make sure there's a thin coat of black grease on these. I already have a coat, so I'm not going to add one, but you just take a little bit with your Q-tip and you can just dab it on right like that. It's pretty easy to do. Okay, you got your ball diff together, quote unquote. It spins pretty smooth, back and forth. Okay, so now we are going to want to assemble it completely. Okay, I got one more washer in there that's hiding on me. Okay, this is the right hand side, so I'm going to take the thrust bearing assembly. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. We got the aluminum nut holder and the little nut. It's very important that the rounded side of the nut goes in on the top, like that. Just pops. Should just pop right in there. Things aren't popping for me tonight. Okay, here's a spare T-nut I got. I'm going to stick this through right there. Okay, rotate that so it's lined up. There we go. Okay, got the nut rounded side up into the nut holder. I'm going to stick the nut holder into the left side with the bottom part out, the little tabs facing up, and they go into the outdrive slots. Just use a 2mm hex wrench to press that down. 2mm wrench will come into play in a second. Okay, and I forgot another very important part. Your diff spring, can't believe I did that. That just drops right in there before the T-nut. Then you get your T-nut in there. That goes in. Then, back to this again. You got your thrust bearing assembly. This goes right in there. You take your 2mm. I have a ball driver, but you can just use your regular Allen wrench or whatever. And then that should just screw right into the thrust nut holder thing, aluminum one. This right here, and should go right together. Okay. Good bit of grease on my hands. Let me wipe that off so I can get a good grip on that. Little power shot on the paper towel, clean off the hands. That's Durtrax Power Shot, by the way, motor spray, pretty useful stuff. Clean off this too. Get out of the way. Okay. I want to make sure this is fully tightened. And now I'm going to back it off 1/8 of a turn for off-roading use. There we go. And it still feels a little bit notchy, so I'm going to back it off just a hair more. Because you want this feeling smooth. Okay, that's much better. It still sounds a little bit notchy, but it should be good. Now, for on-road use, if you're planning to just have this for high-speed runs, you're going to want this to be you're probably not going to want to back it up at all. Only back it off 1/16 of a turn. And remember, you can always tune this for your personal preference. Okay, so we got the ball diff assembled. Okay, we put the 12x 18mm ball bearings into the right half of the transmission case, and then the other half too. There we go. Okay, now we gotta put the ball diff in. You can't put this any old way you want. You gotta put it in with the aluminum nut side, that right there, or the adjustable side. The aluminum nut side onto the let's see, the right, no, the side that's gonna, you want the aluminum nut on the side that doesn't have the motor plate, and you want the adjuster on the side that does. And since this side holds the motor plate, we're gonna want the adjuster nut on this side. If you don't do this, it will loosen up eventually and give you problems. So this just goes onto here. Notice I didn't grease the gears. It just tends to, I found that greases tends to soften up the gears and it just results in failure. So that's the transmission assembled.